All right, we are back. It is time to preview Thursday Night Football. I said it before the break. You're like, it's a pretty gross Thursday Night Football game. I actually think it could be pretty fun for fantasy because the Dolphins defense is involved here. We've got Dolphins at Bills. The Bills are a beefy 12.5-point home favorite, according to our friends at BetMGM, with a 49.5-point total. So I actually think this is let's talk about the Dolphins offense first. Like, is there anyone here that you're like, all right, because I don't really know what to make of the Bills defense. They kind of got pushed around in week 1 against the Baltimore Ravens. And then week 2, I just mentioned the Justin Fields completion percentage under expectation stat in the previous segment. They obviously were the defense on the other side of that. Don't really know what to make about that. So where are we at with the Bills defense, and how can the Dolphins, with whatever they're doing over there, can they attack this unit?
I think they can. Like, actually, last week, the Dolphins offense actually had a little bit of life to it. A little bit, hey, we're actually not totally checked out. Like, there's some designs and elements to it. Achane being healthy, like, is just a nice sign. Like, I do think that he'll be able to pop off some explosive plays. This Bills team is built to create turnovers, rush the passer decently. But what's interesting about them is usually they go really light bodies, where they're always in nickel. They're always in 5 DBs. Teron Johnson is essentially a starter. He is a starter for them. Their slot. But this year, they've actually been playing more base with 3 linebackers out there, which I think is a really interesting thing because they've never really done that before. How does that apply to our fantasy relevancy? I'm trying to figure it out myself, because the Dolphins will go 2 backs. They'll go 21 personnel as much as they go other stuff. So I'm curious if for the first time, the Bills, as opposed to going nickel, maybe get manipulated on that, are going to match with bodies and match with bigger bodies. Does that open up passing opportunities for the Dolphins? That's a way to maybe put less corners on the field, less DBs on the field for the Bills, but also just open. That's in theory, it usually opens up passing opportunities. So that's something in more of a curiosity for me going forward, because the Bills are going to be very relevant. And obviously one of the contenders, I think, in the NFL with that offense. But I think the Dolphins will be able to score some points. I think the Bills will start pulling away, but I think there are opportunities for Tyreek Hill and Waddle in the passing game. I think Achane, all systems go with this. Like, he's going to get his touches, and I think that they'll be able to pop some off on this defense, who has played them well in the past. But I do think that there were some signs of life from this Dolphins offense, but I'm still, fading them long term. But the Bills defense, I do think, has some weaknesses, and they give up a ton of explosive plays going against a very explosive play heavy offense. And also the Bills safeties bring me some worry. And when you usually have weak safeties, what does that lead to? Explosive plays. So yeah, I do think that the Dolphins will be able to get some of theirs, but then lose the game as the game goes along.
Yeah, I mean, if we're like prop betting this on the Dolphins side of it, give me the over on the 5.5 receptions for Devon Achane, which is only minus 118 on BetMGM. Like, we're not even in the minus 20 territory yet. We talked about like first read targets and how like there's sometimes some noisiness with that. Devon Achane, though, is the only running back that's over 20% first read targets according to Fantasy Points data, and it does often feel that way. It's just like screen, swing, swing. So I think he's going to get a lot of work as a pass catcher, because they're not going to be able to they can't run the ball. They can't like nut up and run downhill like the Ravens can against this team. But like the way to probably try to take advantage of the small but slow players they have on that defense is just to get Achane on the perimeter as a receiver. So I think that will be heavily involved. But yeah, I think you're playing Tyreek Hill, you're playing Jalen Waddle in this game. I think they can have their moments against the secondary. Buffalo wise, there's no guarantee with this passing game. I was gonna say the thing is there's no guarantee with this passing game, just because they got back to the rotation last week, whereas the week before it was pretty much Keon Coleman, Josh Palmer, Khalil Shakir were all like 80% route participation players. Even when it was like the first half, they were rotating like Elijah Moore and Tyrell Shavers in, which is kind of stuff that they've done previously. So it does increase the margin for error. That being said, like if you're ever gonna play Keon Coleman, because I think he's gonna have weeks like week 1, he's gonna have weeks like week 2 where he catches 2 for 26. This would be the week to do it. This would be the week to chase the Keon Coleman game.
Yes, all my props are Bills oriented, because while I do think that the Dolphins have a fun front and a good front, I mean, the Patriots offensive line was able to push them around last week. They got some sacks, but in the run game, they're just getting peppered, just getting bullied, actually, I should say. And then in the passing game, like Drake May was able to do whatever he wants. And I think Drake May is going to end up this season maybe as a top 10 quarterback. But Josh Allen, I think, is, unanimous top 2 or top 3 quarterback. So I think he'll have his way. But I love your Keon Coleman kind of tout because I do think he'll be able to catch one of my first props is Keon Coleman anytime touchdown at plus 185 because Allen's trying to get him going with some back shoulder fades, those types of things. Even in the red zone, he's getting some touches. I think the Dolphins corners can't handle that size and strength. And I think Allen's going to try and get him going on one of those too. So that was one I really could see. And if you watched last week with the Patriots, I mentioned the tight end usage. Well, who puts their tight ends on the field a decent amount and uses them in the passing game? That's the Bills. So I don't Kincaid over 50 receiving yards, alternate line, plus 220 on BetMGM, because I think this is one where just the intermediate areas, I didn't really like the catching props, how many receptions, which is one I'd really more lean to because it was just so juiced up. But I just think that he'll get some yards because there's going to be a lot of opportunities. Dolphins slot / linebackers aren't covering very well. They blitz a lot, so there's opportunities for the tight end to work in that area. So I think Kincaid's going to get peppered a ton. And also, if you watched last week against the Patriots, and shoot, you can just go into the first week, the receiving the same. It's kind of the same thing. Usually, the tight ends and the backs are attacking the same guys, whether it's because of the blitz, because of the linebackers, because of the slots, wherever they have to work. James Cook over 11.5 receiving minus 110. I mean, the Patriots had it all day. They hit him for shot plays, but I think you can just get it any which way if you want to target him. So, and then the guy that's the hub of all this, Josh Allen, over 234.5 passing yards. It's minus 140. But I just think he's just going to be able to pepper him just all day. I mean, Daniel Jones and now Drake May have been able to just light this defense up and just be hyper consistent, hyper efficient. So even if you want to shy away from who's catching those passes, I think just Allen's just going to be able to pepper it.
Yeah, I mean, it just you could parlay that minus 140 together with one of these other things because there's just so many ways that the Bills can hurt this defense. Like they're 12th in man coverage right now according to fantasy points data is Miami Dolphins, and like Keon Coleman, I think, did show me some improvement in week 1, at least against man coverage, like selling those vertical routes and kind of stopping back and working back to the quarterback. So I can see some, and like the Kayshon Boutte touchdown, tight coverage touchdown, like that's a Keon Coleman play. And those Dolphins, those Dolphins corners can't cover, and they also can't like track the ball in the air. They're the worst kind of combination of like a man coverage corner. So, all right. Game prediction here, because I mean we pretty much just said like fantasy analysis is pretty much get everybody in the pool if you can. Game prediction here. I think we think the Bills win. Do we think this goes over, and do the Dolphins cover the 12.5?
I do think the Bills cover it. I think this is a healthy win for them. They're rolling on offense, even if it's not all perfect, but it's just they got a lot. They got a lot they could do, and this Dolphins defense isn't really scaring me right now. And I think it goes over because I do think the Dolphins will score early, but then the Bills, like I'll just keep saying it, but the Bills kind of take over as the game goes along.
I think I pretty much feel the exact same way. Like I just can't see a way where this Dolphins team can slow down Buffalo in any way. And I mean, shoot, I wouldn't even, if you're a real sick freak, I wouldn't even like, what's Elijah Moore's over under here? Like, I mean, it just, he got a playing time bump. He got a revenge.
I like how you said everybody in the pool.
Yeah, he's not on the board. So it's get literally everybody in the pool. Yeah, that's right. All right, Elijah Moore was mentioned. That means the show is over.